How are you today? Hopefully well. We're going to be doing a little demonstration of some of the work that's coming up this Friday at Thrive Yoga and Wellness Studio in Chattanooga, 6 to 9 p.m. My name is Nora, and we're just going to do a little bit of practice for the shoulders today and the spine as well, and hopefully you'll get something out of it and maybe even be able to join us on Friday. So we'll just get started. We're going to do a little shoulder work, opening up the shoulders. So let's place the right arm up at 12 o'clock on the wall. And you want to be far enough away from the wall that when we bring the arm back further, that you're not twisting. So I'm going to say about a foot from the wall to begin. So from here, you're just going to spread the fingers wide and relax the shoulder. And tuck the pelvis slightly, so let the knees soften, and then relax the opposite shoulder as well. And let's begin a deep breath, filling up the bottom of the lungs. And think about the head tilting slightly away from the right shoulder as well. So we're getting a bit of space. And then let's slide the hand back about an inch or two. So we're moving back toward 1 o'clock. Not quite there. And our shoulders are still square. You're dropping the right shoulder. And soften the knees still, and elongate the low back. Yeah, and so from here, we're going to move the hand back just a little bit further. Good. So again, now sometimes people need to step further away from the wall here because it's getting intense through the shoulder. So if that's the case, then maybe you want to do that. Why don't you make the feet a bit more parallel and soften the knees, like a little bit of a bend. Yeah, from here, you're really not letting the rest of the body compensate, but your arm is doing all the work, your shoulder. So keep the breath full. And then notice if the fingers are wanting to tighten up towards each other rather than stay spread. A few more deep breaths. And then let's slide the hand back again, just a little further towards 230-ish. And some of us have shoulder injuries, so we're not really going to be barreling through them. We're actually going to honor them and be a little bit more cautious. I'm just going to pull the hips back a little bit so that it's more shoulder that's moving in. Relax the other arm, relax the face, keep the breath full. Yeah, feel free to do some neck and head rolls here. So ideally about 45 seconds per position. You could even hold it longer, but often the fingers start to lose circulation at this point. So let's slide the hand back just a little bit further. Now you may need to step further from the wall. Like Dean, I think you might need to step further from the wall. Yeah. That's it. Try to keep the shoulders, the chest facing forward. Relax through the right shoulder, breathing fully. Good. A few more breaths. And then let's slide the hand back down even more. Now, be mindful of how close you are to the wall. You may need to step further away, or you may need to step further in. Now, And notice, Jennifer, you took a bigger slide. So how about coming like just, yeah, and then make the shoulder square again. There you go. Deep breaths, tuck the pelvis, elongating the low back. So a lot of the postures we do in yoga require this type of mobility to be there so that we're not compensating and we're not using the body to twist into something rather than go in evenly. So shoulders are a pretty complicated joint, and they have to endure quite a bit with all the lifting, moving, carrying that we do. And we're not always in the strongest state when we have to do these things, so we often injure ourselves from even a young age. And if you've ever done any athletics, shoulders are one of the first things to get injured. Okay, we'll take 3 more deep breaths in this position. And then once you're done that third breath, just walk the hand slowly up the wall, back up to 12. Yeah, we're not going to force it into 3 o'clock just yet. And then slowly lower the arm. And then let's turn around and we'll do the same thing on the other side. So again, you may need to change how close or far you are for this shoulder from the wall. You can bring the left arm up at 12 o'clock, and if you don't feel much here, you can step closer. Know that you can always step away. Right, so we're tucking, and you know, we don't have to think about much more than elongating the spine. Tailbone down, feet parallel if possible. Make sure the fingers are wide, the palm is flat. Relax that left shoulder, so let it drop. Yeah, both shoulders. Jaw is relaxed, and the breath is full. So is this the shoulder that's been bothering you more, or is it the other one? Both in different ways? Okay, all right. All right, so just honor the fact that each shoulder is different, and don't expect the one arm to be moving in the same angles that the other one had. So just take your time. The idea is to breathe through it, let go, and repeat the exercise as needed, daily if needed. And then eventually you'll have the mobility come back into the shoulders. Let's walk the hand back about an inch or so, maybe an inch and a half, 2. And then we'll continue breathing. Relax that left shoulder. At this point, you might need to step further from the wall. Yeah. Good. Keep breathing deeply. So if the fingers do lose circulation here, you have a couple of options. You could persevere and just wait, because we're not really here that long that it's dangerous. Or you can bring the arm down, move the fingers around, and then come back to the exercise. Just depends on the intensity. Slide the hand back just a little further. Good. We'll hang out here. Try to keep the chest square to the front wall. Try to relax. I think you need to step further from the wall, Dean. There you go. There. So you want the arm to be relaxed, not tense. Yeah, and then, of course, neck and head rolls here, loosening things up. Shoulders and neck are very interrelated, and often the neck is feeling what the shoulders have tensed up against, and vice versa. So it's good to be working them both out. Couple more breaths. Good, and then as we finish up that second breath, slowly walk the hand back just a little bit more. Yep, keeping the shoulders and the chest square. So keep your, so you've got your wrist a little bit torqued here. So instead, have that, yeah, just like so. Yeah, so you're not really rotating through the forearm, just the shoulders opening up away from the chest. Deep breaths. Draw the navel in toward the spine. So most people don't make it past this point, and that's these two are working on their shoulders all the time. So don't have great expectations at the beginning when we start this practice. But over time, you'll notice there's a greater opening, more letting go, and you'll discover where these tensions extend into. Sometimes the elbow, sometimes the shoulder blade. So you'll have idea of what you need to work on. Let's slide the hand back just a little bit more. We'll take about 6 deep breaths here. You getting anything out of it? Feeling like there's some release going on. Okay, so you're probably close to that completion of the 6th breath. So let's walk the hand back up the wall slowly. Yeah, there could be a little bit of discomfort as you release, and then slowly lower the arm. Good, okay. So let's just roll the shoulders a few times. So we've done some releasing. Now we're going to do a little bit of strengthening. It's not major. It's not going to be very painful in any way for most people. Let's come onto the mat on the hands and the knees in table position. Let's face that way. So make sure the hands are under the shoulders and the fingers are widespread and the knees are somewhere under the hips. So unlock the elbows. So a lot of people lock the elbows because it's easier to hold yourself that way, but actually you're depending on ligaments to do that. And what we want is muscles to be doing the work. So we're going to do a little bit of shoulder strengthening here. So let's lean forward over the fingers. Just a little bit, not full plank, just so we're over the fingers just a little bit more. Yeah, and draw the navel in toward the spine. Yeah, and fill up this space right here. There you go. So we're filling up the space between the shoulder blades, not dipping between, and we're just leaning forward. Now, the wrist could be getting a bit of a stretch in this position, which is also good for the wrist. If this is a real issue, you can use blocks. So I'll show you with Jennifer here, just for the sake of seeing. So we're going to place the hand on a block so the fingers are resting over top, and you can do the same exercise and the wrist doesn't take the same toll. And you can come off of that and we'll go back to the actual position. Okay, now you're going to shift your whole upper body over the right hand. So now you're leaning a little bit into the right shoulder. You're still keeping your back level and the navel toward the spine. So when I say navel toward the spine, it's like we're making the back in a neutral position. Another way you can find that is by pressing the tops of the feet down into the floor. So yeah, so like you're trying to smush all the space out from the ankles to the floor. So you feeling anything in that right shoulder? Good, okay, couple more breaths, or maybe 2 more breaths, yeah, at least. So by holding for longer periods, you're developing the strength. You can do this for shorter periods and gradually build up. And then once you complete that second breath, let's shift over the left shoulder. So we're doing the same thing here. We're trying to keep the weight in both knees so the hips are not really involved. We're just bringing the upper body over the left hand and breathing deeply, of course. We need the oxygen. It's what gives us strength. And so if we're not getting enough, then our muscles are deprived, so they're not being able to perform the same way. Make sure you're pushing out of that left shoulder, so there's lots of power being developed here. Good. Okay, so while keeping the chest up out between the shoulder blades, you're going to make small circles going toward the right. So swing forward over the fingers, come over the right hand, back a little bit, and then over the left hand. So you're making circles in one direction. So that's good going in one direction. Now we come back and around and forward. That's it, yeah. So we'll do that, maybe like 5 circles in each direction, and if that's really challenging, just stick with 2 or 3. Nice and slow. You want to make those muscles have to work hard. Good. And once you've done 5, then you'll switch directions. Good. Remember, those elbows are soft. We're still pushing up out of the shoulder, right. Good. Okay, so let's come back to center. We're going to put the elbows where the wrists are now. And then we're going to sink the hips back like in a stretched child's pose, chest coming toward the floor. Jennifer, in your case, you could probably maybe walk your knees back just a little bit further and then sink your hips back. Yeah, so you want the hips to be still over the knees, but not that far over the knees. Yeah, that's perfect. And then head, if the nose is right in the floor, turn the head to one side. We're letting the chest sink. Now, in some cases, there's quite a bit going on through the shoulders here. So wider hands will alleviate the pressure in the shoulders, and narrower hands will help you get into the stretch just a little bit more. So we can play with that and see how it feels. You don't have to go right into the full thing right from the beginning. What you really want to do is ease in, go slowly, inching inward slowly. After 3 or 4 breaths, then you can move the arms in a little bit more, and so on. And at some point, and now we can hold this up to 5 minutes. We're not going to today, but in a real fascia releasing practice, we would want to hold this for at least 5 minutes. So let's try bringing the palms together and bending the elbows, bringing the thumbs toward the spine. Now the elbows could inch toward the top of the head or towards each other. And now we're getting really into a tricep and shoulder and intercostal stretch. So we're going to take about 5 deep breaths here, but this can be held for a lot longer if you are able to take the time for that today. Good, nice full breaths. You can really feel this getting in under the shoulder blades. So as you finish up that 5th breath, you're going to bring the palms back to the floor, and you're going to flatten the hands down and come forward like in a sphinx. So keep your forearms on the floor, but bring your belly toward the floor. Now slide your legs back just a little bit, Dean, there, and then you want your elbows under your shoulders. That's right. So this is another shoulder strengthening exercise. We're going to hold this for a few minutes would be most ideal. We're going to shorten everything just a little bit today. You could extend this at any time. Just know that this exercise is strengthening the shoulders, especially across the chest and into the deltoids and also the shoulder blade area. So many people want to sink between the shoulder blades here, but instead you're going to push out. You're going to try to make your neck long. And we're not really trying to lift the chin toward the ceiling like we would maybe in a cobra or upward dog. We want to elongate the back of the neck here. And if the low back is uncomfortable, which definitely could happen, you could tuck the pelvis under so that you're pressing the front of your hips, your hip crests, the iliac crests into the floor, which then alleviate low back tension here. So let's aim for 5 breaths. Good. So it does get a little bit tiring after a little while. Even those of us who work out at the gym or do yoga every day, these little exercises are challenging us to be more strong through those little muscles that support the big muscles. So are we near the 5th breath? Okay, good. So let's come lie down. We're going to do one more little thing. So just stretch the arms out in front of you like Superman. Now, this exercise in particular is just for the shoulders, but it can be blended in with some back exercises, which we're not going to do today. So for this one, and you'll be very surprised to find out how difficult this is. Dean, maybe you could slide back toward the end of your mat just a little bit. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so with the forehead to the mat, we're going to raise the right arm up and keep the fingers pointing forward. Now, we're not going to lean into the left arm to make this happen. We're going to really, truly just lift that arm. The chest stays on the floor. So you might find this actually very challenging. It looks very simple, but it's not. Let's put this right hand down. Without moving the chest off the floor, lift the left arm up and hold and breathe. Performance here is not the important thing. What's important is that you're true to the real strength of the shoulder so you can start developing it from where it's at. So if it's weak, that's fine. Just keep holding it in that position that's just challenging enough for you, and then gradually you'll develop some strength. Let's put this left arm down. Let's do the right arm again. Inhale, lift. Very good. And lower. And left, and lift. Keep breathing. And lower. Lastly, we're going to lift both arms at the same time. Keep the forehead down whenever you're ready. Arms up. Now, the wider the arms, the easier this gets on the shoulders. The narrower the arms, the harder it becomes. So you can play with that. Let's just do 2 more breaths here. Very good. Bring the hands to the floor. Push back into child's pose. We'll take a couple breaths just to release the shoulder tension that was created from the exercises. Arms can be out in front or behind, whatever feels best for your body today. Make sure you're breathing right into the back of the lungs. Relax the shoulders. So there's many more shoulder stretches we can do. There's many more positions we can put ourselves in to help release tension through the shoulders. But we don't really have time for all of them today. Perhaps you'll make it on Friday and we'll have 3 hours to explore shoulders, hips, spine, neck, feet, hands. We have lots of things to work on. So I do hope you're able to come. Let's slowly roll up. And just bring your hands together at your heart. Namaste. Yeah, you're welcome.